Let's go ahead and get started. Hello and welcome to Stand United's weekly Facebook Live broadcast. I'm Angela.
And I'm Liz.
And we're here to share with you some of our trending petitions this week. And a handful of them are topics you haven't heard about, but one of them's all over the news, and that is President Trump's new tax plan that he has just unveiled.
It's a pretty good plan. There's been a lot of coverage on this, just because the media, as well as people on the left, are not a big fan. They think it's cutting stuff too quickly.
Right, so this tax plan does a handful of things. First, it takes these 7 federal tax brackets, 5 or 7 actually, condenses them down to 3.
Yeah.
So filing your taxes is now going to be simpler, and there are tax cuts across the board. So this plan actually makes it a little more difficult for people to itemize their deductions, but it doubles the standard deduction that you can take. That means that a single person would be able to deduct just over $12,000 from their taxes each year. And if you're married and filing jointly, you can deduct $24,000 tax-free. That's double what you can earn without being taxed on it right now.
It's awesome. Simplifying it reminds me of Ted Cruz's plan that he had talked about last year about wanting to make taxes so easy that you could just file your return on a postcard. And it does look like there's a little bit of that by simplifying the tax brackets.
Absolutely. Itemizing your deductions is a tough thing to do. You got to keep all your receipts, and it makes things more complicated, not only on your end, but also for the IRS. So what Trump has effectively said with this tax plan is, go ahead and deduct a whole bunch of money. Don't worry about itemizing, because the standard deduction is going to be even better. Now, it also has implications not just for individuals and for married families, but also for corporations. The corporate tax rate in America is now about 35%. That's one of the highest on the planet. And Trump's plan would reduce that down to only 15%.
This is great news for everyone. When we're talking about the increasing of standardized deductions as well as lowering the business tax rate, it leaves more money for companies and individuals to use.
Absolutely. So that tax plan battle is coming up in Congress. We have a petition up right now on Stand United where you can sign on in support of the tax plan. If paying less in taxes sounds like a good idea to you, as it definitely does to us, and to small businesses around the country, we certainly hope that you will go sign and share that petition. All right, next up, we have a topic that's sort of flown under the radar a little bit, but they're really interesting. These people don't get talked about as much as they really should.
I feel like they kind of came up out of nowhere. Just a couple of weeks ago, there was those riots at Berkeley, and there were signs of people warning students not to leave their dorm rooms because this group Antifa was threatening violence. And it's a weird thing because they just kind of sprung up out of nowhere and have this name and are causing chaos wherever they go.
Right, so this group that you're looking at right here is called Antifa. They say that it stands for anti-fascist action, but there are plenty of videos out there of them beating up Trump supporters, beating up people who go see right-of-center speakers on college campuses. You see their motto loud and proud right here. They make no secret of what they're doing. But that's the uniform of wear all black, cover your mouth with a bandana, and commit acts of violence. There's actually a parade, the 82nd annual Rose Festival parade up in Portland, Oregon, was just canceled because these guys, Antifa, threatened to send about 200 people in to mess with the parade, cause violence, cause disruption. Why? Because members of that county's GOP were invited to march in the parade.
This is definitely not an anti-fascist move. Although they're labeling themselves as anti-fascists, their actions are actually completely fascist and the opposite of what they're pretending to promote. We have a petition on this to Donald Trump saying to classify them as a terrorist organization, which seems to make sense. I mean, any group that is causing people to have to put out signs to stay in, because the big thing with them is that they beat up anybody, whether if you get in their way, even if you are center left and might agree with some of their sympathies, they're still going to beat you up if they get in your way. And any group that causes people like that is definitely a terrorist-leaning organization.
So if you look at the textbook definition of terror, which is groups organized in underground networks composed of cells that use violence for political means, Antifa fits the bill because they do have cells. There are cells in different cities, towns, neighborhoods, you name it, of these people who find each other, they communicate online, and they're, you know, very murky about what they do, and their intent is violence. You know, if you look at the sort of unrest and rioting, really, that happened here in Washington, D.C. on President Trump's inauguration day, that was Antifa. They were burning the cars, they were smashing the windows, and that's why they exist. They're not a political party, but they are a political entity. So designating them a terrorist organization would be a very strong stand against what they're doing, which is shutting down public events due to their riots.
Absolutely. And should we move on to our next one?
All right, so in contrast to what we just showed you, this is a story about doing something positive. These people right here, this is Wendy and her son, JD. JD is 7 years old, and he's living with several severe medical disabilities. He's really dependent on caretakers, whether that's his mom, Wendy, his family, or his nurses, and his doctors recommended 56 hours of nursing care each week.
Unfortunately, Georgia has decided, the state of Georgia where he's living, has decided that he only needs 2 hours?
That's right. There's a Georgia state program that is supposed to evaluate kids with conditions like JD's, and they came in and said, you know, it doesn't matter what your doctors say, you only need 2 hours. And his mom, Wendy, is using Stand United to petition the state for the help to which her son is legally entitled.
Absolutely, and this seems like, I mean, this is a local issue for sure, but if Georgia can get away with it, it can definitely spread to other ones. So I think it's important to fight for these kind of things. You know, that children who need higher medical care are able to get it and aren't ignored just because of state mandates.
Right, and when I talk to Wendy, it really comes through just the sense of abandonment at these, you know, state employees who have never met JD. They do not have medical degrees. They don't know what the situation is. They're coming in and essentially overriding his doctors and, you know, cheating him out of these services. So we hope that you guys will help JD and help his family out. Click the link that is on this video right now, or head over to standunited.org and sign on to get JD the help that he needs.
All right, that's all we have for this week. Thanks for tuning in again, and have a good day.